Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the kitchen. What I have here today is a video about some TRP DHR downhill brakes, and I just, if you're interested in buying these, I want to make you aware of something that I have learned that's cost me a little bit of money. So this bike, when the brake pads have been bedded in appropriately by a local bike shop, which has done their best, but when the pads and the rotors have been bedded in appropriately, they get to such a temperature that the pads will melt, and then they glaze over and it renders the rotor useless. So it's a totally useless combo. The fix for this is buying sintered pads, which are on the way. So that's going to be part 2 of this video. So right now, OEM pads and rotor. Part 2 is going to be sintered pads. Say 2020 Ibis Ripley. Just recently I have had these TRP DHR downhill brakes put on. Basically, the whole video is going to be about these, but I'm highlighting here. You can already see the rotor is kind of worthless, but if I go through here, braking is like instantaneous. So when I'm pedaling, or in the stand I should say, but you know, still pedaling it in the stand, braking is instantaneous. However, you'll see when we go out and test ride, that's not the case with the rear brake. The front brake, however, same thing, is like instantaneous stopping. But if you look at this rotor, there's none of the scoring and the glazing, which has happened on this one. This is the second brand new rotor. All right, this is downhill in front of my house. Tried this once and didn't hit record. All right, full pull on the rear brake. Nothing, that's a full pull on there. All right, now going back the other direction. I mean, it's just a lot of pull to get very little braking power. Now, conversely, this is the front. Front immediately digs in. I'm very impressed with the stopping power of the front. It's just the rear, man, it's just really been a nightmare. Welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 deuces of the TRP DHR situation that I have going on. Brakes not gripping, the rotor not very responsive. See earlier in the video to the not slowing down portion. So I've done quite a bit of research about this, and actually TRP has quite a bit of info on their site about this. These are, if I didn't mention this earlier, these are 203 rotors on an Ibis Ripley, and the issue is the pads glaze, and that's because they build up a ton of heat. So they recommend sintered pads. So what I have now, what I'm going to show you in just a second, is I'm going to wipe down the rotors real good with acetone and then alcohol, and swap the pads, and we'll do that together. And then I'm going to take both sets of pads, and I don't know what the sequence of this in the filming, but both sets of pads we're going to look at on the table and kind of compare the sintered pads to the glazed pads. So and then we're going to test ride, and hopefully the brakes will be good. Okay, this is just some acetone, the good industrial kind. I'm gonna completely clean the rotors. This is the rear rotor. I don't know if the GoPro will pick it up, but you can see a lot of the scoring and whatnot, so I don't know. Maybe I'll actually hit this with a little bit of like 220 or something sandpaper. Front seems to be not as bad, although it does have a pretty good score in it. Okay, back at it. This is a 220 piece of sandpaper. I'm just gonna hit the rotor real quickly just to get rid of any residue, you know, from the resin. Sorry, I couldn't come up with that word, with residue and resin. The resin pads which have melted onto the rotor. The other thing is I have a completely brand new rotor. If this one doesn't take after this, I can switch to a new rotor. Just trying to keep this as this is again what TRP says to do, so do this a couple times and then I'll hit them with some alcohol. This is just some rubbing alcohol. Get everything, isopropyl rubbing alcohol, get everything off the rotors, get them nice and clean. Oops. Okay, we're back. I have switched over to the head cam so you can see what I'm doing, and I've put on gloves so no one in the peanut gallery can tell me that I'm contaminating everything with my biofilth. Hopefully we'll get these pads off right quick, take them over to the bench and we'll take a look at them. One other thing that, actually you see the shiny stuff on there? The shiny stuff is the melting. That's according to the TRP video. We'll take a quicker look and compare them to the new pads and the fronts in just a second. All right, have a bottle now of some isopropyl alcohol. Just gonna clean the brakes and the brake area real good. Try to get all that contaminant out of there. These are the rear brakes. As you can see, the glazing, plenty of thickness. One of the things that TRP also says is if you get some drywall sandpaper, you know, that black kind of semi-rigid mesh, sand these down until the glazing goes away, because this is such a frequent thing on long downhills that the organic resin pads will glaze like this because of the heat buildup. Is sand them with that drywall mesh and then they're good to go. Like, you know, obviously let them cool down and whatnot. So I am going to hold on to these, and once we get these brakes sorted out, I will give that a whirl. Okay, now these are the front brakes. As you can see, they do not appear to be glazed at all. You know, I'll take the rear, the worst of the rear. See all that shiny stuff? That's a glazing on the rear. So now for comparison purposes, try not to touch the actual braking material. These are the full metallic sintered Shimano Saint pads. Okay, got the alcohol, clean the rear brake off. Okay, as you can tell, I'm no real YouTuber, but running 2 cameras and doing all this stuff with the head mount and everything else, this is a real pain in the tuchus. This is kind of wonder, I mean, people who do this full time, good on them. Okay, here we go. Plopping in the new brakes. Get that retention spring. Okay, just returning back to that diatribe about doing too many things. I lost my needle nose to get the retention clip off of the pin, the bolt, and lo and behold, it was in my back pocket the whole time. Okay, I don't want to hear anything about the 3 to 6 inch-pounds or whatever that these are supposed to be connected to, and I apologize for that dumpster. All right, as I was saying before I dropped my other pin into the grass over there is, you know, I don't want to hear it from my many tens of viewers about my health and safety, so I'm putting a retention pin on. And just so you all know, I'm being straight with you, here's the new rotor. And then these are the brake pads that I'm using. These are for Shimano Saint brakes. Apparently, again, in the TRP forums, these are really good sintered, all metal, you know, the compound and metal backing brake pads. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, next step in this evolution is bedding in the TRP, the TRP DHR bed-in procedure is, you know, ride up and down a street or like a flat area, get up to about 15 miles an hour, slow down to 5, let off the brake, let it cool down, rinse and repeat, do that several times until you get like the gripping power will increase. Okay, I'm in a parking lot behind my house, and if I didn't say this earlier, we're gonna go 15 up to 15 miles an hour roughly, down to 5 each brake. You do one brake at a time, so I've got to be cognizant of not you know, pulling my front. So I'm in this flat parking lot. This is what TRP recommends. So let's see if I can get up to 15. And then down to 5. I can already feel every time I do this, the brakes get a little grippier. This is just the rear I'm working on. Given lots of time for stuff to cool down. I'll just edit out all the other runs, but they are getting every turn they get grippier. Okay, front. Hopefully I don't face plant. Okay, 15. Yeah, so much better. In conclusion, with the regarding the TRP DHR downhill brakes, totally worth it. Those sintered pads made all the difference in the world. So if you buy these, just ditch the OEM pads from the get-go and get those sintered Shimano Saint pads and you'll be good to go. Bed them in yourself, normal procedures, you'll be good to go.